The call came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I know because I was staring at my phone, wondering if I should answer when I saw Mum flashing on the screen. "Lillian, honey, you need to get to St. Mary's Hospital right now." Her voice was shaking, which should have been my first red flag. My mother never shook. "It's bad, sweetheart, really bad. My name is Lillian, and I'm 28 years old. I work as a data analyst for a small tech company, live alone in a studio apartment, and haven't spoken to my mother in 3 months. Not since she forgot my birthday. Again." But when someone calls you at 2:47 a.m. talking about hospitals, you go. The fluorescent lights in the ICU waiting room made everyone look like corpses. My father Glenn sat hunched in a plastic chair, his usually perfect hair sticking up at odd angles. My sister Hazel paced by the vending machines, her designer heels clicking against the linoleum. My brother Trenton leaned against the wall, scrolling through his phone. "Where is she?" I asked. "Room 314, Glenn said without looking up. "The doctors. They said her kidneys are failing, both of them." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "How long?" 6 months, maybe less, without a transplant. Hazel stopped pacing. "They put her on the list, but you know how that goes." I did know. I'd watched enough medical dramas to understand that kidney transplant lists were basically death sentences unless you had a living donor. "Can I see her?" Glenn nodded toward the hallway. "She's been asking for you." The walk to room 314 felt like a funeral march. I pushed open the door, and there she was, Vanessa, my mother, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Tubes snaked from her arms, and her usually immaculate makeup was gone, leaving her face pale and drawn. "Lillian." Her voice cracked when she saw me. "Oh, baby, you came." I approached the bed slowly. "Dad said your kidneys... I'm dying." The words came out as a whisper, followed by tears that seemed to come from nowhere. The doctors won't say it outright, but I can see it in their eyes. I'm dying, and I'm scared. I'd never seen my mother cry, not when her own mother died, not when she and Dad went through their rough patch 5 years ago. Never. "Mom, I know I haven't been the best mother." The tears were flowing freely now. "I know I've made mistakes, been too hard on you sometimes, but you're my daughter, my firstborn, and I need you to know how much I love you." My throat felt tight. These were words I'd waited my entire life to hear. "The doctor said family members are the best match for donation." She reached for my hand with trembling fingers. "I would never ask this of you, never put this burden on you, but you want me to give you my kidney?" "I want to live, Lillian. I want to be here for your wedding someday, for grandchildren. I want to make up for all the times I failed you." Her grip tightened. "If you do this for me, I promise things will be different. I'll help you with that student loan debt you've been struggling with. I'll be the mother you deserved all along." I stared at her face, searching for any sign of the woman who'd spent 28 years making me feel invisible. All I saw was fear and desperation. "I need to think about it." Of course," she squeezed my hand. "Take all the time you need. Just, please don't take too long." I was almost to the door when she called out again. "Lillian, I meant what I said about everything changing, about helping you financially. You've always been so independent, so strong. Let me finally be there for you the way I should have been." Something in her tone made me pause. I turned back, but she was already looking away, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. For just a moment, I could have sworn I saw her check her reflection in the black screen of the bedside monitor. I pulled out my phone and hit record. "Mum, could you repeat that last part about helping me financially? I want to make sure I understand what you're promising." She looked directly into my eyes, tears still glistening on her cheeks. "If you save my life, I'll spend the rest of mine making sure you never struggle again. I promise you that, baby. I swear it on my life." I stopped recording and slipped the phone back into my pocket. "Okay, Mum, I'll do it." The smile that spread across her face was radiant. But as I signed the donor consent forms an hour later, I glanced back through the window of her room. Her eyes were completely dry. The surgery went perfectly, according to Dr. Martinez. My kidney was a beautiful match for my mother, and the transplant team was optimistic about her recovery. Mine, not so much. I spent 4 days in the hospital, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. Every breath hurt. Rolling over in bed felt impossible. The nurses kept telling me this was normal, that kidney donation was major surgery, but I'd somehow expected to bounce back faster. "You're a hero," one of them said while checking my vitals. "Your mother is so lucky to have a daughter like you." Lucky. Right. Hazel visited once, bringing flowers and staying for exactly 15 minutes. She spent most of that time on her phone, posting Instagram stories about family strength and the power of love. She didn't ask how I was feeling. Trenton stopped by with coffee and actually seemed concerned. "You look rough, Lil." "Thanks, really what every girl wants to hear." "You know what I mean." He sat in the uncomfortable visitor chair. "This was a big thing you did. Mum knows that, right?" "She should. Have you talked to her since the surgery?" I shook my head. "She's been recovering too. Different floor." That was 3 days ago. Now I was home in my studio apartment, moving like an 80-year-old woman and surviving on delivery food because standing at the stove for more than 5 minutes made me dizzy. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Your mother wants to see you. Can you come by the house tomorrow?" Finally. I'd been waiting for this moment. The tearful reunion, the gratitude, the promises fulfilled. Maybe she'd even apologize for all those years of making me feel like I wasn't enough. I showed up at their house the next afternoon, still moving carefully, but determined to be there. Mum was in her favourite armchair, looking remarkably good for someone who'd had major surgery a week ago. Her colour was back, her hair was styled, and she was wearing makeup. "Lillian!" She stood up and gave me a brief hug. "You look tired, honey. Are you eating enough?" "I'm fine. How are you feeling?" "Like a new woman. The doctors say the kidney is working perfectly. My numbers are better than they've been in years." She settled back into her chair. Sit. We need to talk." Dad appeared from the kitchen with coffee. He set a cup in front of me and avoided eye contact. "So," Mum said, stirring sugar into her coffee, "your father and I have been discussing our finances." I blinked. "Okay." "The medical bills are going to be substantial, even with insurance, and with me unable to work for the next few months, we're looking at some serious shortfalls." "I thought you said you'd help me with my student loans." She waved her hand dismissively. "Well, that was before we knew how expensive all this would be. We're going to need to prioritise." "Prioritise? Family first, Lillian. You understand." She leaned forward. "We were hoping you might be able to help us out. Just temporarily, of course." I stared at her. "Help you out how?" "Well, you have that savings account, the one you've been building up for a house down payment." Dad finally spoke, his voice quiet. "We know it's a lot to ask, but—" "You want my savings?" "It's not like that," Mum said quickly. "It's a loan. We'll pay you back as soon as I'm back on my feet and working again. You promised you'd help me financially. You said you'd make sure I never struggled again." Mum's expression shifted, just slightly. The warmth in her eyes cooled. "I said a lot of things when I was scared and dying, Lillian. People say things when they're desperate." "So you lied." "I didn't lie. I was emotional. There's a difference." She set down her coffee cup with a sharp clink. "Look, I'm grateful for what you did." "Of course I am, but that doesn't mean I can just hand you money I don't have." "But you can ask me for money I do have." "We're family," Dad said. "Family helps family." I looked between them, these two people who'd raised me, who'd taught me that love was conditional and approval had to be earned. "I need to think about it." "Don't think too long," Mum said. "The bills won't wait." I left without another word. Back in my car, I sat in their driveway for 10 minutes, trying to process what had just happened. Then I pulled out my phone and scrolled through Facebook. My mother had posted an hour ago. Feeling blessed and grateful for my successful transplant. So thankful for all the love and support from friends and family. Some people make recovery harder with their selfishness, but I'm choosing to focus on the positive. Blessed Chi transplant survivor, Chi family first, 43 likes, 12 comments, all variations of so glad you're okay and you're so strong. I screenshot the post and drove home. That night I listened to the recording I'd made in the hospital. Her voice, promising to help me, swearing on her life that she'd be there for me. Then I made another recording, this one of our conversation today, just in case. The family barbecue was supposed to be a celebration. Mum's first big social gathering since the transplant, a chance for everyone to see how well she was doing. I almost didn't go, but my cousin Willow had texted me 3 times. Please come, I haven't seen you since the surgery, plus you know how these things go without a buffer. Willow was right. Family gatherings were minefields on the best of days. I arrived to find the backyard full of relatives I saw maybe twice a year. Uncle Barrett was manning the grill, holding court with his usual loud opinions. Aunt Vivian sat at the patio table, her sharp eyes taking in everything like she was gathering intelligence. "Lillian!" Mum appeared at my elbow, all smiles and energy. "Everyone, look who's here, my daughter, my hero." A few people clapped politely. I managed a weak smile. "How are you feeling, dear?" Aunt Vivian asked, but her tone suggested she didn't really want an answer. "Still recovering but getting better?" "That's wonderful. Your mother looks fantastic, doesn't she? Just glowing with health." Mum beamed. "I feel like I'm 20 years younger. It's amazing what a good kidney can do." "Speaking of which," Uncle Barrett called out from the grill, "I heard there was some drama about money, something about Lillian not wanting to help with medical bills." The conversation around the patio table went quiet. I felt every eye turn toward me. "That's not exactly—" "Now, Barrett," Mum said, but her voice carried that particular tone that meant she wanted him to continue. "We don't need to air family business. I'm just saying, seems like the least she could do after everything you've been through. I mean, you gave her life and she gave you a kidney. Seems like helping with some bills would be the natural next step." "It's complicated," I said. "How complicated can it be?" This from Hazel, who'd appeared with a wineglass in hand. "Mum almost died. You saved her. Now she needs help and you're being difficult about it." "I'm not being difficult. I just think—" "You think what?" Hazel's voice was getting louder. "That you've done enough? That saving our mother's life somehow gets you off the hook for being part of this family?" "Hazel, please," Trenton said quietly. He'd been sitting at the edge of the group, looking uncomfortable. "No, I want to hear this." Hazel turned back to me. "What exactly is your problem, Lillian? Why can't you just help them?" "Because she promised she'd help me first." The words came out louder than I'd intended. The entire patio went silent except for the sizzling of meat on the grill. "Promised what?" Uncle Barrett asked. "Before the surgery, she promised she'd help me with my student loans. She said she'd make sure I never struggled again." Mum's laugh was light, dismissive. "Oh, honey, you're taking that way too literally. I was scared and emotional. People say all sorts of things when they're facing death." "You swore on your life." "I was being dramatic. You know how I get." She looked around the group with an expression that clearly said, "You know how she gets too." So it meant nothing. "It meant I was grateful. I am grateful. But gratitude doesn't pay bills, Lillian." Aunt Vivian leaned forward. "I have to say, I'm a little surprised by your attitude, Lillian. Your mother raised you, fed you, clothed you for 18 years. She's asking for help during a medical crisis, and you're worried about some casual comment she made?" "It wasn't casual. It sounds pretty casual to me," Uncle Barrett said. "Sounds like you're looking for an excuse to be selfish." "I gave her my kidney." "And she gave you life!" Hazel snapped. "God, Lillian, do you hear yourself? You act like you're some kind of saint for doing what any decent daughter would do." I looked around the circle of faces. Some looked uncomfortable, but none looked sympathetic. Even Trenton was staring at his hands. "Where's Willow?" I asked. "She had to work," Mum said, "but she sends her love." Of course she did. The one person who might have backed me up wasn't here. "Look," Mum said, her voice taking on that sweet, reasonable tone that meant she was about to deliver a killing blow. I understand you're still recovering, and that can make people emotional and irrational, but this family has always been there for each other. When my sister needed help with her mortgage, we helped. When Barrett's business was struggling, we helped. That's what families do. But when I needed help, you got help. You got the greatest gift I could give you, the chance to save your mother's life. Some people would consider that an honour. Uncle Barrett nodded approvingly. She's got a point, Lillian. Not everyone gets the opportunity to be a hero. I stood up, my incision pulling painfully. I need some air. Don't be dramatic, Hazel called after me. I walked to the side yard, away from the voices and the judgment. My phone buzzed with a text from Willow. How's it going? Everyone being nice? I typed back. They all think I'm selfish for not giving them my savings. What? That's insane. Want me to call you with a fake emergency so you can leave? Before I could respond, I heard voices from the patio. Mum's voice, carrying clearly through the evening air. I just don't know what to do with her. She's always been difficult, but this is something else. Acting like I owe her something for doing what any loving daughter would do. Maybe she'll come around, Trenton said. She will, Mum replied. Just a little more pressure and she'll cave. She always does. I pulled out my phone and hit record. The family meeting was scheduled for Sunday at 2 p.m. Dad's text made it sound official. We need to sit down and hash this out once and for all. Your mother's health depends on reducing stress. I knew it was an ambush before I even walked through the door. They were waiting in the living room like a tribunal. Mum sat in her chair, Dad on the couch, and Hazel perched on the arm of the sofa with her arms crossed. Even Trenton was there, though he looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Sit down, Lillian, Mum said, gesturing to the chair across from her. We need to talk. I remained standing. About what? About your attitude, Hazel said immediately. About the way you've been acting since Mum's surgery. How have I been acting? Selfish. Ungrateful. Like the world owes you something. Mum's voice was calm, controlled. We've tried to be patient, to understand that you're still recovering, but this has gone on long enough. What has gone on long enough? This victim act, Dad said quietly. This idea that we somehow wronged you. I looked at him. You asked me for my life savings. We asked family for help during a crisis, Mum corrected. The way families do. The way we helped you when you needed your wisdom teeth out. The way we helped you with your car payment when you were between jobs. That was different. How? Hazel leaned forward. How is it different? Because you promised... Oh my God, not this again! Hazel threw her hands up. Mum was dying, Lillian. She was scared and desperate and said whatever she thought would convince you to save her life. Are you seriously going to hold a dying woman to promises she made in a hospital bed? Yes. The word came out harder than I'd intended. The room went quiet. Yes, I repeated, because those promises are the only reason I agreed to the surgery. Mum's eyebrows shot up. The only reason? Not because I'm your mother? Not because you love me? When have you ever shown me that love was unconditional in this family? How dare you? Dad said, his voice rising. How dare you sit there and act like we didn't love you, didn't sacrifice for you? What did you sacrifice? 18 years of our lives? Mum stood up, her face flushing. 18 years of putting your needs first, of working extra hours to pay for your school clothes and your field trips and your college applications. 18 years of worrying about you, caring for you when you were sick, driving you to soccer practice and piano lessons. That's called being a parent. And this is called being a daughter, she gestured wildly. Supporting your family when they need you, not keeping score like some kind of accountant. I'm not keeping score, I'm asking you to keep your word. What word? Trenton spoke for the first time. What exactly did she promise you? I pulled out my phone. Do you want to hear it? The room went very still. Lillian, Mum said carefully, what are you doing? I recorded our conversation in the hospital, the one where you promised to help me financially, the one where you swore on your life that you'd make sure I never struggled again. Dad's face went pale. You recorded your dying mother? I recorded my manipulative mother making promises she had no intention of keeping. You little... Hazel started toward me, but Trenton caught her arm. Play it, he said quietly. Trenton, Mum snapped. Play it, he repeated. Let's hear what was actually said. I hit play. Mum's voice filled the room, tearful and desperate. If you save my life, I'll spend the rest of mine making sure you never struggle again. I promise you that, baby. I swear it on my life. The silence that followed was deafening. Well? I asked. That's taken completely out of context, Mum said, but her voice had lost some of its conviction. What context? You made a promise. I kept my end. You didn't keep yours. I was dying. And now you're not, because of me, because I believed you when you said things would be different. Things are different, Dad said. You saved your mother's life. And in return you want me to bankrupt myself to pay your bills? We want you to act like family, Hazel said, but she sounded less certain now. No, you want me to act like a bank. There's a difference. I looked around the room at these people who'd raised me, who'd taught me that love came with conditions and strings attached. I'm done, I said. Done with what? Mum asked. Done pretending this is about family. Done pretending you care about me as anything other than a source of organs and money. Done letting you make me feel guilty for expecting you to keep your word. I headed for the door. If you walk out that door, Mum called after me, don't expect to be welcome back. I turned around. Is that a threat or a promise? It's a fact. Family sticks together, Lillian. If you can't do that, then maybe you're not the daughter I thought you were. Maybe I'm not. I left them sitting there and drove home. My phone started buzzing immediately, texts from Hazel, missed calls from Dad. I turned it off. That night, I called Willow. They want me to give them my savings, I told her. After everything you've already done? That's insane. They think I'm being selfish. You gave them a kidney, Lillian. A kidney. How much more unselfish can you get? Apparently not unselfish enough. There was a long pause. Then Willow said, What are you going to do? I looked at my phone, at the recordings I'd been collecting. I'm going to wait. The invitation arrived on cream-coloured cardstock with gold lettering. Fancy. Expensive. You're cordially invited to celebrate Vanessa's transplant survivor party. Join us as we honour her courage, strength and miraculous recovery. Saturday, October 15th, 7 p.m. Cocktail attire requested. At the bottom, in Mum's handwriting, to my brave daughter, without whom none of this would be possible, love, Mum. I stared at it for a full minute before calling Willow. Did you get one of these invitations? Yeah, just opened it. Pretty over the top, right? A whole party to celebrate herself. She's calling it a survivor party. Like she survived cancer or something. She had kidney failure, got a transplant, and now she's fine. That's not exactly surviving against all odds. I flipped the invitation over. There's a note on mine. She called me her brave daughter. Wow, after everything that's happened, she's still trying to manipulate you. Or she's genuinely trying to make amends. Willow was quiet for a moment. Do you really believe that? I thought about the family meeting, about Mum's threat when I walked out. No. So what are you going to do? I'm going to the party. Lillian. I'm going, and I'm bringing my recordings. Another pause. What are you planning? I'm planning to let everyone hear exactly what kind of person they've been defending. That's nuclear, Lil. You know that, right? If you do this, there's no going back. There's already no going back. They made sure of that. We met at a coffee shop the next day to plan. Willow brought her laptop and a pair of earbuds. Okay, let me hear what you've got. I played her the hospital recording first. Mum's voice, desperate and pleading, making promises about financial help and being a better mother. Jesus, Willow whispered. Then the recording from the barbecue. Mum's casual dismissal of her promises, her comment about applying just a little more pressure until I caved. And this one's from the family meeting. I played the clip where Mum threatened to cut me off if I didn't fall in line. Willow pulled out the earbuds. "This is damning stuff, Lil, but are you sure you want to do this publicly, in front of the whole family? Where else am I going to do it? They've already made up their minds about me. Uncle Barrett's been telling everyone I'm selfish and ungrateful. Hazel's been posting passive-aggressive stuff on social media about family loyalty. Even Trenton won't return my calls. What about your dad? Dad does whatever Mum tells him to do. He always has." Willow opened her laptop. "Okay, if we're doing this, we're doing it right. We need to edit these down to the most damaging parts, make it clear and concise so people can't dismiss it or claim it's taken out of context." We spent 2 hours cutting and splicing audio. The final product was devastating. 3 minutes of Mum making promises, breaking them, and revealing her true feelings about me. "How are you going to play it?" Willow asked. "I don't know yet. I'll figure it out when I get there." "I'll be there with you." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do. You're going to need at least one person on your side when this goes down." The week leading up to the party was strange. Radio silence from my family, which was actually a relief. I used the time to prepare mentally for what I was about to do. On Friday night, Willow came over with takeout and wine. "Last chance to back out," she said, settling on my couch with Chinese food. "I'm not backing out. Even if it means losing your family forever." I thought about that. What family? The one that only calls when they need something? The one that made me feel guilty for expecting them to keep their promises? The one that turned on me the second I stopped being useful? Fair point. Besides, maybe some of them deserve to know the truth. Maybe Trenton doesn't realise how manipulative she's been. Maybe some of the extended family will actually listen. Or maybe they'll all circle the wagons and blame you for airing dirty laundry. Then at least I'll know where I stand. We ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Willow said, "What happens after? After you play the recordings and burn it all down?" "I don't know. I guess I figure out how to build a life without them." "You won't be completely alone. You'll have me. One person isn't a family. Sometimes one person who really sees you is worth more than a whole family that doesn't." Saturday morning, I got my hair done and bought a new dress. If I was going to destroy my family relationships, I was going to look good doing it. The party was at a fancy event hall downtown. Mum had clearly spared no expense. Flowers, catered food, a full bar, even a DJ. I counted at least 50 people milling around with cocktails. "Quite a turnout," Willow murmured as we walked in. "She always did know how to throw a party." Mum spotted me immediately and rushed over, arms outstretched. "Lillian, you came. I wasn't sure you would after our last conversation." She hugged me like nothing had happened, like we were the perfect mother and daughter. "Wouldn't miss it," I said. "You look beautiful, honey. Doesn't she look beautiful, Glenn?" Dad appeared with drinks. "She does. How are you feeling, Lil?" "Never better," Mum beamed. "I'm so glad you're here. I know things have been tense, but tonight is about celebrating, about family." "About family," I agreed, patting my purse where my phone waited. "Absolutely." The party was in full swing by 8 o'clock. Mum worked the room like a politician, accepting congratulations and sympathy in equal measure. She'd changed outfits twice since I arrived, each dress more elegant than the last. "She's really milking this, isn't she?" Willow whispered as we watched Mum pose for photos with various relatives. "Just wait until the speeches start." I'd been watching the setup all evening, a small stage at the front of the room, a microphone stand, a podium decorated with flowers. Mum kept glancing at it like she couldn't wait to take centre stage. "Lillian!" Uncle Barrett appeared beside us, drink in hand and voice already too loud. "There's the woman of the hour. Well, one of them anyway." "Hi, Uncle Barrett." "I have to say, I'm impressed you showed up tonight. After all the drama lately, I wasn't sure you'd have the guts." Willow stepped closer to me. "What drama?" "Oh, you know, family business." Barrett waved his hand dismissively. Lillian's been having some trouble understanding what family loyalty means. Is that right? Willow's voice was dangerously sweet. It's fine, I said quickly. We don't need to get into it. No, I think we do. Barrett leaned in, his breath reeking of whiskey. See, your cousin here seems to think saving her mother's life entitles her to some kind of special treatment, like Vanessa owes her something. Vanessa does owe her something, Willow said. She owes her everything. Barrett laughed. That's not how family works, sweetheart. Family helps family. No strings attached. Unless you're asking Lillian for help, apparently. What's that supposed to mean? Before Willow could answer, Aunt Vivian appeared at Barrett's elbow. Barrett, you're being loud again. She turned to me with a tight smile. Lillian, dear, you look lovely tonight, though I have to say I'm surprised to see you here. Why wouldn't I be here? Well, after the way you've been treating your mother lately. She let the sentence hang in the air. How have I been treating her? Oh, come now. We all know about the money situation. How you refuse to help with the medical bills after everything she's done for you. Everything she's done for me. Raising you, for starters, giving you life, and now you can't even return the favour when she needs help most. I felt my hands clench into fists. I gave her my kidney. And she gave you 18 years of her life, Vivian shot back. I'd say you still owe her. Willow grabbed my arm before I could respond. We need drinks, she said firmly, pulling me toward the bar. Did you hear that? I hissed as we walked away. I still owe her, after giving her a piece of my body? They're all insane, Willow muttered, every single one of them. We reached the bar just as Hazel appeared, looking stunning in a black cocktail dress. Lillian, I can't believe you actually came. Why does everyone keep saying that? Because we all thought you'd be too embarrassed to show your face after the way you've been acting. How have I been acting, Hazel? Like a spoiled brat, like the world owes you something just because you did one decent thing. One decent thing? Okay, one big decent thing, but that doesn't give you the right to hold it over Mum's head forever. I stared at my sister, this person I'd grown up with, shared a bathroom with, fought with over clothes and boys and stupid teenage things. Do you really think I'm holding it over her head? Aren't you? All this drama about promises and money and what she owes you. It's embarrassing, Lillian. What's embarrassing is that she lied to me. She was dying. People say things when they're desperate. So that makes it okay. It makes it understandable. Hazel's voice softened slightly. Look, I know you're hurt, I get it, but Mum's been through hell and she's finally getting better. Can't you just let this go? For her sake? Before I could answer, the DJ's voice boomed through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. Our guest of honour would like to say a few words. The crowd turned toward the stage where Mum stood at the podium, radiant under the spotlight. She waited for the applause to die down before speaking. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. When I was lying in that hospital bed 6 months ago, I honestly didn't know if I'd ever see another birthday, let alone be standing here celebrating with all of you. More applause. Someone in the back shouted, "We love you, Vanessa." The doctors told me I needed a miracle, and that miracle came in the form of my daughter Lillian. She gestured toward me, and suddenly every eye in the room was on me. My brave, selfless daughter who gave me the gift of life. The applause was thunderous. People were actually wiping away tears. But tonight isn't just about celebrating my recovery. It's about celebrating the power of family, the bonds that hold us together through the darkest times. I felt Willow's hand squeeze mine. Some people, Mum continued, her voice taking on a slightly different tone, think that doing one good deed entitles them to special treatment. They think family should come with a price tag. The room went quiet. A few people glanced in my direction. But that's not what family means. Family means sacrifice without expectation, love without conditions, support without keeping score. She paused, looking directly at me. I'm grateful to everyone who stood by me during this difficult time, who offered help without asking for anything in return, who understood that sometimes being family means putting someone else's needs before your own. The message was clear. I was being called out in front of 50 people for being selfish and ungrateful. I pulled out my phone and checked the audio file one more time. "Ready?" Willow whispered. I looked up at my mother, still basking in applause, still playing the victim while painting me as the villain. "Ready." Mum was wrapping up her speech when I started walking toward the stage. "So thank you all for being here, for being the family I can count on." "Mum!" I called out, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Before you finish, I'd like to introduce you properly." The room went dead silent. I think everyone should know exactly who they're celebrating tonight. Mum's face went white as I approached the stage. "Lillian, what are you doing?" "I'm introducing you properly." I climbed the steps, my phone in my hand. "May I?" She stepped back from the microphone, her eyes darting around the room like she was looking for an escape route. "Everyone," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the speakers, "I want you to hear something. This is a recording of my mother talking to me in the hospital right before I agreed to donate my kidney." "Lillian, don't!" Mum lunged for my phone, but I stepped away. "Listen carefully." I hit play. Mum's voice filled the room, desperate and pleading. "If you save my life, I'll spend the rest of mine making sure you never struggle again. I promise you that, baby. I swear it on my life." The silence was deafening. 50 people stared at the stage, processing what they'd just heard. "That was 6 months ago," I said. "Here's what happened 3 weeks later." I played the second clip. Mum's voice again, but different now, cold, dismissive. "I said a lot of things when I was scared and dying, Lillian. People say things when they're desperate." A few gasps from the audience. I saw Uncle Barrett's mouth fall open. "And here's my personal favourite from last week's barbecue." The third recording played. Mum's voice, casual and calculating. "Just a little more pressure and she'll cave. She always does." The room erupted. Voices overlapped, people turning to each other in shock and confusion. "That's enough!" Mum grabbed for the microphone, but I held it away from her. "One more," I said. "This is from our family meeting last Sunday." Mum's voice again. "If you walk out that door, don't expect to be welcomed back. Family sticks together, Lillian. If you can't do that, then maybe you're not the daughter I thought you were." The crowd was buzzing now, whispers and murmurs spreading through the room like wildfire. "So there you have it," I said, looking out at all these people who'd spent months calling me selfish and ungrateful. "The woman you're celebrating tonight, the woman who promised to help me if I saved her life, then asked for my life savings instead. The woman who's been telling everyone I'm a terrible daughter for expecting her to keep her word." "You recorded me," Mum said, her voice shaking with rage. "You recorded your own mother." "I recorded a liar. How dare you?" She was shouting now, all pretense of dignity gone. "How dare you humiliate me like this, in front of everyone? How dare I? How dare you?" I turned back to the microphone. "I gave this woman my kidney, a piece of my body. I spent weeks in pain, recovering from major surgery, because she begged me to save her life. And the moment she was healthy again, she demanded my savings and called me selfish for expecting her to keep her promises." "That's not," Mum started. "It's exactly what happened. Everyone here just heard it in your own words." The crowd was getting restless. People were talking openly now, not bothering to whisper. I saw Aunt Vivian covering her face with her hands. Uncle Barrett was staring at Mum like he'd never seen her before. "Do you want to know what family loyalty looks like?" I continued. "It looks like giving up a kidney without asking for anything in return. It looks like trusting someone when they promise to be better. It looks like hoping, even after years of disappointment, that maybe this time things will be different." "Lillian, please." Dad appeared at the edge of the stage, his face grey. "No, Dad, I'm done being quiet. I'm done pretending this is normal. I'm done letting her paint me as the villain for expecting basic human decency." I looked out at the crowd, at all these faces I'd known my whole life. "You all heard her call me selfish tonight. You heard her talk about family loyalty and unconditional love, but you also heard what she really thinks of me, what she's always thought of me. That's not true! Mum was crying now, but they weren't the manipulative tears from the hospital. These were tears of rage and humiliation. I love you. I've always loved you. You love what I can do for you. There's a difference. Hazel pushed through the crowd toward the stage. Lillian, stop this! You're destroying everything. I'm not destroying anything. I'm revealing what was already broken. Trenton appeared beside Hazel, his face pale. Lil, maybe we should... Should what? Pretend this didn't happen? Go back to acting like everything's fine while she tells everyone I'm a terrible daughter? But the recordings... Someone called out from the crowd. The recordings are real, I said. Every word. You can ask her yourself. All eyes turned to Mom. She stood there, tears streaming down her face, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. I was scared, she whispered into the microphone. I was dying, and I was scared. And now you're not dying, I said. Because of me, because I believed you when you said you'd be grateful, when you said you'd help me the way I helped you. The room was completely silent now. Even the DJ had stopped the music. So congratulations, Mum. You got your kidney, you got your health, you got your party, but you didn't get to rewrite history. I handed her the microphone and walked off the stage. The crowd parted as I made my way toward the exit, their faces a mixture of shock, sympathy, and confusion. Behind me, I could hear Mum's voice, desperate and pleading again. Please, everyone, don't go. This isn't how it looks. But people were already heading for the doors. Willow caught up with me in the parking lot. Holy shit, Lil, you actually did it. I was shaking, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I can't believe I just did that. How do you feel? I thought about it. Free. The fallout started immediately. My phone buzzed non-stop during the drive home from the party. Missed calls from Dad, angry texts from Hazel, voicemails I didn't bother listening to. I turned it off and poured myself a glass of wine. You know they're going to try damage control, Willow said, settling onto my couch. Your mum's probably already spinning this as you having some kind of breakdown. Let her try. 50 people heard those recordings. What do you think happens now? I shrugged. I guess I find out who I really am without them. The next morning, I turned my phone back on to find 37 missed calls and 62 text messages. Most were from family members, but a few were from people I barely knew, distant relatives and family friends who'd been at the party. One text caught my attention. It was from my cousin Marcus, Uncle Barrett's son, who I hadn't spoken to in years. Holy shit, Lillian, I had no idea. I'm sorry we all gave you such a hard time. Another from my aunt's neighbour. I always suspected something was off about Vanessa. Good for you for standing up for yourself. But the family messages were brutal. Hazel had sent a string of texts calling me vindictive, cruel and selfish. Uncle Barrett left a voicemail saying I was dead to the family. Even some of Dad's messages were harsh, though I could tell he was just parroting whatever Mum had told him to say. The only family member who didn't pile on was Trenton. His single text was simple. Can we talk? I called him back. Jesus, Lil, I knew Mum could be manipulative, but those recordings... You believe me now? I believe the evidence, her own words. He was quiet for a moment. I owe you an apology. We all do. Some of you do. Others made their choice. What are you going to do now? I don't know. Figure out how to live without you guys, I guess. You don't have to live without all of us. That afternoon, Trenton showed up at my apartment with coffee and an uncomfortable expression. I talked to Dad this morning, he said. He's struggling with all this. Struggling how? He keeps saying he didn't know how bad it was, that he was just following Mum's lead like he always does. And now? Now he's seeing her differently. The way she's handling the aftermath isn't helping her case. What do you mean? Trenton pulled out his phone. She posted this on Facebook an hour ago. I read the post aloud. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you most. I'm heartbroken by my daughter's betrayal, but I'm choosing to focus on the family members who truly love and support me. Some people will do anything for attention, even destroy the people who gave them life. Wow, she's really doubling down. It gets worse. Read the comments. I scrolled through them. Most were supportive of Mum, but a few stood out. Vanessa, I was at the party. We all heard what you said to her. Maybe it's time to look in the mirror. Those recordings don't lie. Your daughter saved your life and you treated her terribly. I've known you for 20 years, and this sounds exactly like something you'd do. She's losing people, Trenton said. Aunt Vivienne called this morning and said she's reassessing the situation. Even Uncle Barrett seems less sure of himself. What about Hazel? Hazel's still Team Mum, but she's always been Mum's favourite. She can't see past that. We sat in silence for a while. Then Trenton said, I want to make this right, Lil. I don't know how, but I want to try. You can't make it right. None of you can. But you can stop making it worse. What does that mean? It means stop defending her. Stop pretending this is normal family drama. Stop acting like I'm the problem. Okay, I can do that. The next week brought more revelations. Apparently, Mum's post-party behaviour had been erratic. She'd called several relatives demanding they choose sides, threatening to cut off anyone who didn't publicly support her. It backfired spectacularly. Willow forwarded me a screenshot of a group text between some of our cousins. Anyone else think Vanessa's lost it? She called me 3 times yesterday screaming about Lillian. She's been calling everyone. It's honestly scary. Those recordings were pretty damning. I'm starting to think Lillian was telling the truth. Starting to think. She literally had proof. Dad called on Thursday. His voice was quiet, defeated. I owe you an apology, Lillian, a big one. Okay. I've been thinking about those recordings, about the things your mother said, about the way I let her treat you over the years. And I was a coward. I let her make you the scapegoat because it was easier than standing up to her. I didn't respond. What was there to say? I know I can't undo the damage, but I want you to know that I see it now. I see what she did to you, what we all did to you. What happens now, Dad? I don't know. Your mother and we're not in a good place right now. She's angry that I won't defend her publicly, says I'm choosing you over her. Are you? I'm choosing the truth over her version of events. Maybe that's the same thing. 2 weeks after the party, I got an unexpected visitor. Mum stood at my door, looking older and smaller than I remembered. Can I come in? I almost said no, but curiosity won out. She sat on my couch, hands folded in her lap. I've lost half my friends, she said without preamble. I'm sorry to hear that. No, you're not. You're glad. I considered lying, then decided against it. Yeah, I am, she nodded. I suppose I deserve that. We sat in silence for a long moment. I came to ask what you want from me, she said finally. Nothing. I don't want anything from you anymore. There has to be something, some way to fix this. You can't fix this, Mum. You can't take back the promises you broke, or the lies you told, or the way you turned everyone against me. So that's it? We're done? I looked at this woman who'd given birth to me, raised me, and spent 28 years making me feel like I was never quite enough. We were done the moment you asked me for my savings after I gave you my kidney. Everything since then has just been making it official. She started to cry. Real tears this time, not the manipulative ones from the hospital. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Lillian. I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix anything. She left without another word. That night I did something I'd been thinking about for weeks. I opened Reddit and started typing. I gave my manipulative mother my kidney, and she immediately demanded my life savings, so I exposed her at her own party. Here's what happened. I attached the audio files and hit post. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of comments, most supportive, some critical, but all engaged. People shared their own stories of family manipulation and betrayal. Others offered advice and encouragement. For the first time in months, I didn't feel alone. My phone buzzed with a text from Willow. Saw your Reddit post. You're internet famous now. I texted back, good famous or bad famous? Definitely good. You're a hero to everyone who's ever dealt with a narcissistic parent. I smiled and kept reading comments. Strangers from around the world were telling me I was brave, that I'd done the right thing, that they were proud of me. It wasn't the family I'd lost, but maybe it was the family I'd found.